Years ago, I read in a magazine a feature in which they would talk to a famous person and ask them 20 questions about themselves. No questions focused on their area of expertise or fame, just 20 questions about themselves, things that people might be surprised to learn, and things that that person would enjoy talking about. Each month they would feature a different person, and I really enjoyed it. Sometimes they would have a sports figure, sometimes they'd have an author, sometimes it was a musician. It was always fun to hear what people were into because I was often surprised. Well, I was thinking how fun that would be just to find a list of such questions and share my own responses and encourage you to ask those same questions at home or with your friends. I think it's a fun thing just to get to know people better because sometimes, even though they're basic things, they may be things we don't talk about very much and fun things to learn about another person. So I found a list of 200 questions online. I promise not to do 200 of them at a time, but maybe 10 or 20 at a time. So the first question, what television shows are you into? It's a pretty easy one for me. The Royals, that's it. I really don't watch any television unless the Royals are on, then I turn on the TV. But I have really claimed a lot of independence from television. So my life in the world of TV is pretty boring. I watch the Royals. Number two, what's your claim to fame? I probably don't really have a claim to fame, but I would say I've been a priest for 27 years, a parish priest for 27 years, and I'm proud of those years, and I'm proud of the service that I've been allowed to give. I've been a priest or a pastor in many great parishes with many great people. I've gotten to work with incredible people over the years, so that would be my claim to fame. I'm really proud of that. Number three, how often do you play sports? Well, it's a funny question for me because I've never been a huge athlete. I don't think I'm not athletic. It's just something I haven't done a lot of. I really like sports that are individual. So I don't necessarily want to compete or be across the net from anybody. I do enjoy tennis. I just don't play it very often. But these days I have really taken up strength training and running again. I'm not a serious runner. I'm not a serious CrossFitter, but I do try to run as often as I can. These days, in these shelter-at-home days, I figure I have a little more time, so I try to run at least 5 times a week for about 20 minutes at different paces, and then walk 5 minutes before and after. Sometimes I'll run a little longer than that, but I add to it some weightlifting or sit-ups or push-ups. So I try to do several sets of strength training along with that 20 minutes of running and 10 minutes of walking. So I've tried to create a little diverse routine for myself, and I really enjoy that. So I will say I never ever thought I would lift weights, and I never understood the value of it or the joy of it. But since I've been going to the gym, I have to say I really enjoy lifting weights, whether they're dumbbells or deadlifting or even bench pressing. I'm a real novice, but I'm enjoying the results, and I really enjoy doing it. I would say the sports I play are most often individual sports. So running, it's another thing I never thought I would do, but I really do enjoy it. If I can listen to music and do something in solitude, it's a sport that I'm good with. Fourth question, are you usually early or late? This is a hard question, not because it's hard to know the answer, but it kind of embarrasses me. I typically run late, and in the last 10 or 12 years, I have really worked hard to try to counter that. I really have tried at least to be a couple of minutes early, because I've learned over the years that when you're late, it's rude, and I've really made a concerted effort to grow out of that, and I'll probably always be making that effort, but at least I'm making the effort. Number 5, what quirks do you have? I have a couple that I can think of. First of all, if it locks, I lock it. So there are things that don't need to be locked, but if there's a locking mechanism on something, I usually lock it. I think it's just probably a self-protective thing. That's a big part of my life, and so I often am locking things that don't need to be locked. The other quirk that I would say I have is I don't like leaving things plugged in. If I'm not using a lamp, I don't just turn it off, I unplug it. A little paranoia, a little fear about electricity. I just respect it, I guess, and sometimes I don't trust equipment or outlets. So if I'm not using something that's electrical, it's usually unplugged. Number 6, how often do you people watch? Not very often. For some reason, it's just something I've never really gotten into. I know some people love it. It's not something I do very often. Number 7, what's your favorite drink? This is a tough one in some ways, but the first one that usually comes to mind, a really good gin over ice and 2 olives. That's about all I need. I think if it's really good gin, just serve it over ice, 2 olives, and I am happy. And I drink that year round. I know gin typically is more for warmer weather, but I love that year round. Number 8, what do you hope never changes? I hope the 4 distinct seasons that we enjoy here in Missouri never change. I really love that. I love the distinct progression through the year. It's really important to me, and I'll admit, if we have a mild winter, it's kind of a strange thing for me. Or if summer goes so far into fall that we hardly have a fall, I don't like that. I really do like those 4 distinct seasons. So I hope we never lose that. Number 9, what's your dream car? There were days when I could have answered this question in great detail, and it probably would have been a difficult question for me to answer in those days because I used to know a lot more vehicles than I do now. But I would say some Audi supercar would probably be my dream car. One of those 2-seater cars with the hot engine and low slung to the ground. Audi usually makes a very beautiful supercar, so that's my first thought. Number 10, where would you rather be from? I really love being from Kansas City. I really love being from the Midwest. But if I had to pick a place, it's pretty obvious. I would say Portland, Oregon, or somewhere on the Oregon coast. But I really would want it to be from a city, so I would probably go with Portland, Oregon. So that's my spin through the first 10 questions. Share your answers to these questions with others around you. I think it's just a fun thing to talk about your life and your preferences, things you love, quirks about yourself, all of that. You always get to know something about each other.